Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Myra Salcido, and this is for my 1301 courses. This video from University of Texas Permian Basin's online course, 1301, and there's been a little bit of confusion about the books for the course, especially the composition handbook. It was created by UTPB. Faculty and students wrote some of the chapters. This is what it used to look like last year. It has so much more. I mean, look at the difference. It's a lot more information in here, and I have a chapter in here, and it's a great book. I'm really proud of the students that had chapters in it. So it's the 7th edition, and the book looks like this. You do not have to get this big book. What you have to do is get online at Top Hat. This is a required textbook. We will be reading about modern language association, style, rhetoric, and other information that you won't have in other places. So you really do need to keep in mind it's a required book. And if you get online at Top Hat, I have sent in everybody's UTPB email, not just, it won't go through Canvas email. You get an invitation from Top Hat from UTPB email. So be checking your UTPB email inboxes, because I sent an invitation to everybody. You only have to click on that to join. There's a handout that I sent around in Canvas, and it tells you your code for your particular class. Now, if you go online to order it from Top Hat, it is less expensive than some other places. It's $40. And you would have to have a credit card. There's a 14-day trial, but when you run out of that trial, and we're going to be using the book the rest of the semester, I am really concerned about how it can impact your grades not having it. Due to copyright law, I can put one chapter 1, in the courses, and I will do that, but you really need to get access. So Top Hat is the publisher, and under the guise of Fountainhead Press, but they're going to all electronic books. That's the way the world is moving now. So you will only use the website to read the book. That's all you need. There will be no assignments and nothing for you to submit into Top Hat, so don't worry about that. When you get into Top Hat, check on content, and this cover should come up, and then all the chapters underneath it. So I highly recommend, you really need this book. I know there's a lot of books in 1301 that are required, and one of them is Team Writing, Guide to Working in Groups. We will be using this later. Everybody should be reading Stephen King's The Long Walk. Whether you rent it, get it electronically, start reading it now. I'm going to try to find a time to have an online book meeting about the first few chapters, and I'll send that around when I get it together, so that we could discuss what we're reading. And then the other book is Stephen King on Writing, a Memoir of the Craft, and we will be using a few chapters in that book. I should take a poll. If not everybody has purchased the book, then I may be able to use a chapter out of it. So we'll see about that. But it's a lot of reading, and then you have your free online textbook reading about writing, get started on reading about the literacy narratives in the Reading About Writing book that's in the course that you can click on. It's a free electronic book that faculty put together also. So yeah, it would be great if we can get all free electronic books. You know, the market is kind of tough right now, so we're doing what we can. And in Reading About Writing, you will read about the slave narrative of Frederick Douglass, how he learned to write in a time when slaves were not allowed to read and write. So it's how you can be self-taught in reading and writing, what he did. There's also Helen Keller. Shortly after she was born, she got ill and lost her sight and ability to speak and hear. Well, she could speak. She could speak, but she could not see or hear, and how she had to learn writing in any way she could. And then there's a section about Eva Hoffman, and she was from Poland, and how it took away her identity to come to America, pretty much. I mean, my gosh, a teacher even refused to pronounce her name and gave her a new name. Imagine that. So it happened. And if you speak more than one or two languages, you're multilingual, bilingual, you may relate to that. Hopefully you will relate to one of those three chapters: Frederick Douglass, Eva Hoffman, or Helen Keller. Because you will be writing, the first paper will be your own literacy narrative of how you came to be literate, read and write, and understand things in a different culture or different language, or how you grew into reading, if you read chapter books or Divergent, or you've read any of those books. So Hunger Games, it's dystopian, and The Long Walk is dystopian literature also, which is the opposite of a utopia, where people create these rituals like in the Hunger Games, and it's survival of the fittest sometimes. I also have The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. It was written way before The Long Walk, which was written in 1979, and then you come into the 20th and 21st century with Hunger Games. So it's not an original idea. It's a good idea. It's redone well, if you like Hunger Games. And it's just good to learn the history of how these things build on each other and how Stephen King writes. A lot of people don't like to read it before they go to sleep, but it's not really a horror book. It's more of a thriller. So it's no worse than Hunger Games, really, except it has mature language. So the university level, there will be mature language. And I need everybody to get going on these other assignments. I move things down, due dates, but don't wait until the due date to start on something. Start getting ahead. A lot of reading and writing. Several papers to write. The first one is your literacy narrative, your autobiography of yourself as learning to read and write. A pivotal moment, maybe a book changed your mind about reading, maybe something changed your mind about reading or writing. So, and then the second paper, you need to interview somebody who does writing on the job. And, I will talk more about that as we get to it, but please try to be thinking of somebody now coach, teacher, pastor, just anybody that has to write, and especially if it's a job you want to get into. Medical field be real tough to interview anybody right now. The folks are just exhausted. So unless you could interview a nursing instructor, that a teacher, somebody that's not out in the field today, that could work. You can interview a coach. People think coaches don't do any writing. They would be so wrong. Yeah, same with mathematicians and scientists, and the accuracy with which they need to write is huge. So this is just a little bit of an update to make sure everybody has their books, and I'm trying to catch up. Have bronchitis, lost my voice, got it back a little bit, now it's starting to go again. So I hope I am enunciating well enough, since I cannot speak too loud. Yeah, it's taking my breath away. But yeah, antibiotics, they're working. So anyways, check into Top Hat, look at your email, and get going. See you at the next video.